Encre Noire by Lalique. The first thing that I want to say about this fragrance is do not be afraid of this fragrance. Do not be scared of this fragrance. The first time I ever heard about this fragrance, I got curious by the first person that I heard describe this. It was like death. It was very dark, very dirty, very skanky. I was like, that doesn't sound too pleasant. But I wanted to hear other people's opinion. This was several years ago, or a few years ago. So I started watching reviews and listening or reading people's comments about this, and most people said the same thing, that this smelled like ink. Actually, Encre Noire means black ink. A lot of people said it's very inky. It smells like ink. A lot of people said that it is very dark, very rooty. Smells like wet basement. There's one or two people that I heard say that this smells like death. Some people said it's unwearable. I've heard all different kinds of stuff, and the majority of stuff did not make this sound like a very pleasant fragrance. But I learned something over the last year. I learned I cannot rely on anybody else's opinion to know if I like a fragrance or not. So I went ahead and pulled the trigger on this, not knowing anything about this other than this could be really bad. But I got it and I started wearing it. And the first time I ever put this on, it reminded me of another fragrance, which is my favorite fragrance of all time, Encre Noire Sport. This is actually a flanker of this. Natalie Larson created this. She created my favorite fragrance, Encre Noire Sport, and she also created Encre Noire All Extreme. But the first thing I got was this smelled really super close to my favorite fragrance, which is Encre Noire Sport, which is a good sign. A breath of fresh air right there. But I was like, okay, this is just the opening. This could go really bad in the mid and the dry down. I could be getting like the smell of death in the mid and the dry down. But all the way through the life of the fragrance, it smelled like Encre Noire Sport. Not exactly. There's some differences, but it's really close to Encre Noire Sport. They share the same DNA. So the first wearing of this, I fell in love with it. I did. And this is a dark fragrance. This is earthy. This is a little bit dirty, but all those things in a good way. There's nothing skanky. There's nothing funky about this fragrance. Like, that's what I was getting. That's what I got from everybody else's description of this. Is this is going to be maybe really animalic, which it's not. This is going to be like really rooty, and it's not in a bad way. It is earthy, but in a good way. It is earthy in a good way. Everything in a good way, not a bad way, not a skanky, nasty way. Um, I actually looked at the bottle that day that I got it, and it's just like the Encre Noire Sport bottle, pretty much. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Um, if I didn't know any better, I would swear this is wood. It looks exactly like wood to me, but I think it's plastic. But everything is top quality. Everything. This feels exactly like wood to me, but I think it's plastic. One of the best atomizers, one of the best bottles to me on the market. This bottle to me is art, and the fragrance inside to me is art. This is completely different from anything else. Sycamore from Chanel is very similar to this, but other than that, this is one of the most unique fragrances. The Encre Noire line is some of the most unique fragrances that has ever been created, in my opinion. But there's nothing scary about this. Do not be afraid of this fragrance because to me, it's not like the way everybody was describing it. Um, you're just going to have to try it yourself, just like I did. Don't go by anybody else's opinion. You should try fragrances for yourself and not rely on other people's opinion, including myself, to know if you're going to like a fragrance. As a matter of fact, I can't promise you you're going to feel the same way about this fragrance as I do. You might hate this fragrance, but you might like this. You might love this fragrance. There's no way to tell unless you try it. But I'm telling you, my experience from this fragrance is I was scared of this fragrance, but I fell in love with this fragrance. And there's nothing in here scary like everybody was making it out to be. Cypress. A lot of cypress in here. There's two kinds of vetiver in here. There's cashmere woods in here, and there's musks in here. I do not get any kind of musk at all in here. There's nothing animalic in here. I get no musk at all from this. I get a lot of cypress. The cypress is a really unusual note. It's really intensely dark and deep green. It's not quite piney, but it's similar to piney, but it's very intense and very potent green with a little bit of woody in there. There's two kinds of vetiver. One of those vetivers gives this an earthy, dirty vetiver, but nothing skanky as far as that dirtiness. It's very earthy. There's another vetiver in here that is a dark vetiver, but nothing scary. Nobody mentioned this. I've seen a lot of reviews on this, and nobody has mentioned this. There's cashmere woods in here. The cashmere woods in here gives this fragrance a warmth overall. It gives it a warmth and a little bit of sweetness. And that sweetness is like the sweetness that you get from a sweet sandalwood. It's like a woody sweetness that gives it a warmth and a sweetness in general overall in this fragrance. So this fragrance is very green in a deep, intense way. There's vetivers in here to give it a lot of woodiness and earthiness, and cashmere woods gives it a warmth and a sweetness, and it's absolutely beautiful. This is, I consider Natalie Larson to be an artist. That's why she's my favorite perfumer. I think she's a wonderful artist, and all the Encre Noire is art in my opinion. There's fragrances that I do not consider art, but the majority of fragrances, especially the Encre Noire line, I consider to be art, and I consider them to be masterpieces. A long time ago, I had Encre Noire All Extreme, which I did not like at the time, but I'm getting ready to order that because a lot of things have changed about me. When I smell a fragrance, I can get a lot of things that I've never gotten before. I've sort of grown up as far as my fragrance journey. I've learned a lot of things, and I appreciate a lot of things now that I didn't before. So that's one reason that I think that I could possibly fall in love with Encre Noire All Extreme now. So, but do not be afraid of this fragrance. There's nothing scary in here. It's earthy and dark, but it's not anything to be afraid of, in my opinion. But the only way you're going to know is to try it yourself. If you don't want to get a bottle, get a decant from somebody, maybe a 5 or 10 mil. But these things are extremely inexpensive. This is a 50 mil. You can get this for like 20, 21 bucks. You can get twice this much. You can get 100 mil for under $30. So, and I think that is awesome considering the quality of this, and considering this is art. It's not just a fragrance, it's art. So just think about it. I will put a link in the description if you're interested, to where you can get a 50 mil or 100 mil. You have a choice. But just try it, man. Later. Love you guys.